So yeah, give a quick introduction. Who are you? What do you do?
So my name is Berat Hasani, or otherwise known as Freddles, aka my online alias. I am a 19-year-old developer who has started a company in Kosovo to develop games and hopefully, grow, expand, and make even bigger PC games at one point in time. And I am proud to sort of say that we're sort of one of the first companies at least, to do stuff in Kosovo about game development, and I think that's a pretty nice title to hold, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did it take to like start a scene there? Like, you're the first scene there, or like was there other stuff before?
Well, the people who initiated the scene, um, they were trying to start the scene before me. I didn't know that there was other people trying to do something about game development in Kosovo. To be honest, I always thought I was one of the only people. But then I one day on Facebook, I was browsing and I saw this ad for a game jam happening in Kosovo, and it was actually the global game jam.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like immediately interested when I saw that it was in Pristina in Kosovo. Immediately joined, made this really long description of why I should be accepted, and then I got accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And then the host told me that I was the only one who actually wrote a description. Everyone else just sort of skimmed it, saying just either didn't write anything or just like one sentence just to get it over with. And that's actually where they saw that I'm really interested in it. But it makes sense, I guess. I mean, game dev is all I do in my life. I don't know what I would do without game dev at this point in my life.
What year was that?
Yeah. That was the one you're seeing on stream. That was
Okay.
2020. I think the first one happened in 2019, as I remember it. Actually, if you zoom in on that image there with all the people in it, I think I should be there.
Oh, there's no 2019 page, I guess. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let me... Oh, Chrome is not liking that. Okay. I don't think they have a full size, but...
Yeah. Let me see. So, that guy on the back with the glasses, the one on the left. That's me.
Okay.
The one you're holding your cursor over. It's a very low res picture.
Yeah. There's probably a higher resolution original somewhere.
Huh. Actually, that's kind of weird. I thought this was 2019. I guess it must have been 2020. Before the pandemic. Yeah, actually, this was before the pandemic.
Oh, right.
Or was it?
Yeah, there was a few months.
I got the dates mixed up, I swear.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that there was 2 months in 2020 where there wasn't a pandemic.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I'm pretty solid that picture was taken in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
But there it says 2020, so I don't know. But yeah, so in 2019 I saw that game jam, as I was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Signed up, and it was pretty damn good for a first game jam. It was also the first game jam that I went to in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of people there that I didn't know. I didn't know people were even interested in game jams.
Mm-hmm.
There was only one person I knew who was involved with game making or game design actually in Kosovo. Her name is Agnesa. She now works at Techland actually, working on what's their new game that they're making? I forgot the name of it.
Who's Techland?
Dying Light 2.
Oh, Dying Light 2.
Yeah,
Damn.
So there's people from Kosovo working on Dying Light 2, which is pretty
That
awesome.
is cool, yeah. What's her Twitter? Or following wherever?
Excuse me?
Or does she have a Twitter or some kind of site or something?
She must. Let me get that up because I don't know. She has an interesting nickname, I think.
Somebody asked, do you have any prior experience in software development or programming before you entered the game jam?
Yeah, actually. I can't seem to find this Twitter, by the way. Yeah. But I do have prior experience with game making before that game jam. For at least 2 years, I want to say, or 1 year and a half prior to the game jam. I released a game on Steam when I was 15 years old. I was working on it for like 8 months. First game I ever worked on, and managed to release it on Steam. It's a very, very basic game, but I was sort of trying to learn Unity. Like, I use Unity for my work.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to learn Unity, post-processing, scripting, stuff like that. Before Unity, though, I was doing web development with JavaScript, HTML, CSS, that sort of thing, for like a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
But was also managing a Minecraft server. Which is actually where I got my start in programming. Actually, very, very funny story for this. So we had this developer in our Minecraft server back in the day. This was 2016 we're talking about, so quite a while ago. So he's just, making plugins for our Minecraft server, and one day he decides to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
they're not
just morbidly curious to see his code.
Mm-hmm.
So I check it. It was in this language called Script, which is like a language written in Java.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so the way Script works is you write stuff in plain English. Like, all the syntax works in plain English. So for example, you can say, give 2 diamonds to this player.
Yeah.
And then you have like if statements. If this player has this attribute, for example. It's a script with a K, actually. Script. So you write stuff in plain English. I'm like, okay, that sounds easy to get into, right? I check his code. I start reading. I get into the documentation, and that's where I got my beginnings in programming. This was back in 2016, and I was 13 at the time.
Whoa.
And then after that, so 13 at the time. I have a brother who works in.
Here is another thing I helped make.
Many years, and he saw that I was being interested in programming, right? And he's like, "Hey, why don't you come over to my company? As an intern or like student. You can learn JavaScript, maybe some web here and there, and later on you can get into game making." And I'm like, "Yo, that is so cool, And so I go into his office for a couple of months, start making my game. Well, actually, no, I started making stuff in web first, and then I get introduced to Unity. At that time, it still had JavaScript support with Unity script.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I sort of get into it, make my first game, release it to Steam after 8 months. Painfully, by the way, because releasing a game as a 15-year-old is not easy. Let me tell you that.
Did you have a lot of spare time, or were you like fitting this in between other stuff?
Actually, good question. So I was in middle school technically, joining high school at the time, in 10th grade, and so I was never good with school. Let me tell you that. I was always into computers. I was always into tech. So school for me was sort of like not a priority in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know how to even say that.
No, I get that.
Without it sounding bad.
I was like that in college. I just wanted to make games.
I had okay grades, right? And I always tried to convince my parents that, hey, like, I'm trying to get into programming like my brother. Why can't I do that? But, I was very, very stubborn. Which worked in my favor. And so I had okay grades in school, and every time after I got back from school, I just dive right into programming, Udemy courses, and Unity and
you did a lot of
different
courses, or did you do YouTube tutorials also, or is it just like?
Actually, so I got my true Unity beginnings in Udemy. There was this really good course which I can't remember the name of. The guy who made the course is also, I think, quite well known in Unity's community, if I'm not mistaken.
Brackies? I don't know if he did courses.
It was another guy, I don't remember his name. So I got my beginnings in Unity with that, and afterwards I just sort of went with it my way, trying to look at the documentation and things like that, and maybe some YouTube videos, perhaps some Stack Overflow here and there. Yeah, it kind of worked, but it just took me way longer to learn. I was seeing some other people making seemingly way better games for a lot less time, which made me a little jealous, not gonna lie. But I always had the excuse that I'm coding my own game completely, and I wasn't taking assets. So actually, I still stick to this, even to this day. I do not use any sort of assets from Unity Asset Store or even other places. I always try to make my own assets, whether it's 3D models, sprites, code, especially code actually.
Yeah.
Unless it's something like shaders, which I'm not good with.
Yeah, I think I was like that too.
Yeah.
It's just shaders are the weird thing that take forever to figure out, and even when you figure them out, it's kind of magic almost. It just it works so different from normal programming. It's hard to
exactly. I don't think the syntax is too hard, but then you get into the maths, which spoiler alert, I'm not good with maths. At least not as good as I think I should be for shaders. So yeah, that's sort of how it all began, I guess, in terms of game making. I see Miss Cyrilev. I hope I'm not butchering that name. Said fellow JS game developer. Yes, I really like JavaScript. So unpopular opinion, perhaps.
Yeah, I remember doing JavaScript for as a software developer, and it doesn't work like normal programming languages. It's everything runs at the same time or something. It's because you have to do code function callbacks, and you build the web page and all the code just kind of is there. I don't know how to describe it, but how does that work for games? You have to do weird stuff with that, or?
Well, I don't know very much about JavaScript. I only learned a little bit of it, and then I actually transitioned into C#.
Oh, okay.
Which I've spent most of my time with, actually. But I got my beginnings in JavaScript.
Okay, yeah.
Unity script was deprecated in 2019.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I think, or 2019.
I think I first started with that as well, Unity script.
I was forced to transition to C#.
So the scene there, you mentioned earlier about how it started. It was there's, or not earlier in this call, but before I started the stream, you mentioned there was attempts to start it, but it never went anywhere, and now it is going somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, let me tell you about that. So I should say, before I went to that game jam, which I mentioned earlier, there was another very, very small game jam where I think only 6 people participated. That was, I think, the true first game jam in Kosovo. Before that, I don't know if anyone else has attempted to make a game jam, but that was the first ever game jam in Kosovo. It only had 6 to 8 people. I wasn't part of it, sadly.
Did you know about it, or you just weren't able to go?
Well, no, I didn't know, actually, because I would have definitely gone into it, but I just didn't know about it. It was so small that, yeah. But, so, yeah, about the attempts before any of this happened, before 2018, 2017. Back in 2010, 2011, that sort of time, there was a couple of companies that are still around today. They make software in general, not games, just software. Things like websites and desktop applications. They made a Facebook game, like a platformer, and I think that's like one of the first Albanian or Kosovo games ever made. Before that, I don't know. It was actually a hit for some reason, even though it was a really, really simple platformer, like the Score Chaser. I don't even remember the name of it, because it was so long ago. In 2013, or slash 2014, there was a really, really amazing attempt at starting the gaming scene here in Kosovo, or game development scene. And it was actually by my own brother. He's a software developer, but always wanted to get into games, just he never could.
Yeah.
And he, with the help of a couple of other developers, they made a card game for Facebook. But the twist about the card game was that it was a local game that we play here in Kosovo. So it was a local card game, right?
Yeah.
They released it to Facebook, and it was a huge success. These guys, I mean, I still cannot believe the numbers. Like, it was nuts, but they had over 1 million monthly active users.
Holy shit. How did they monetize
Yes.
it? Or did they monetize it?
Well, here's the thing. Kosovo, in the state that it was, especially back in 2013, and also because of how Facebook worked in 2013, advertisements weren't really a thing, right? They had ads, they tried to get some sponsors, but it was so bad that it just didn't work, right? Monetization was a complete mess. So they didn't have enough funds to keep the servers running, especially with that many people playing it.
Yeah.
So they flopped, which is pretty sad.
Yeah.
Because I think if the same thing was done today, even in the same platform as Facebook, it could work. It could probably be a hit again. And it would probably also generate enough funds to keep it running, or even, more than just to keep it running.
Yeah.
So that was nuts, to be honest. I don't remember much of the time because I was still pretty young at that time. Although I do remember asking my brother to give me more money in the game, which of course he didn't do. They had, it flopped after a while, which is pretty sad. They had plans to release it to mobile, but they never made that, funds and stuff and jobs. So everyone just went into something else. Which brings us to today, I guess, 2017 and onwards, where I can truly say that's the time when the Kosovo game development scene truly began. Let me read the chat here.
Oh yeah, somebody asked how you did in the Game Jam, Global Game Jam. Are there links to your results or what you made?
I guess you can search it up on the Global Game Jam page. Wait, hang on, let me bring it up actually. So we personally, me and my team, made this quote-unquote game. I don't even know if you could call it a game. The theme of the Game Jam was something along the lines of Home Sweet Home or something, which was a really interesting topic, and we chose the most annoying game to make about it. Actually, you're gonna laugh at this. So we made a game where if you do anything in it, like literally if you interact with anything, you immediately lose the game. The reason why the reason why is gonna make a lot of sense is, you're a construction worker who came home after a very long day of work, and you're just trying to get a good night's sleep, but there's a lot of sound distractions, like cats outside and, you know, like cars running and like the wind and like pipes leaking and just any sort of sound that you can imagine at night when it's completely silent that you hear, like the clock ticking, things like that. But the point is, if you click anything, your character wakes up, I guess, and he just doesn't feel sleepy anymore. So you lose the game. So the whole point of the game is you just have to wait there for 5 freaking minutes, and be annoyed by these different sounds, and hear your character like talking in his own mind, saying like, "Oh damn, I wish I could get up to stop, you know, my water pipes leaking or whatever, you know." And then we had like 25 something lines of dialogue, which one of my friends recorded. So yeah, and the funniest thing, and this still cracks me up to this day, is some people from Czechoslovakia played our game. And then they sent us a message saying, "Hi, we're trying to play your game. How do we play it?"
It's like a funny anti-game kind of thing. Idea almost.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like a joke, a troll kind of thing. That's funny. I like that.
Other people also made some interesting games there. So, of course, game jams, as you know, they don't have rewards or anything like that. It's not a competition. It's just mostly for fun. At least Global Game Jam is. I don't know about the other ones. Yeah, others made some interesting games. I don't remember. I think one of them had something to do with like 5 stages of grief or something. It was more of an emotional game with a story. It was like about a little girl and like some bad situations in her family or something like that. It was an interesting attempt. But the artist of that game was pretty damn good. That's all I remember. I don't remember the other games though. Sadly. Let me see if I can pull up my game here.
I've never done Global Game Jam. Do they have like a scoring system for like, I don't know, placings or something?
No. Yeah. It's not a competition.
So yeah, there's no rating. It's just you submit your games. It's not like Ludum Dare, I guess.
You just submit your game and.
Okay. That's interesting.
I'm not able to find the game jam games from 2019. I can only see the ones from 2020, which is weird. Yeah.
Did you all like showcase your games when you're done? I don't know how the event works. It's like.
Yeah, actually, let me tell you about that. The game jams are like the main highlight of Kosovo's game development scene. At least for now, because the way these events usually go are really, really fun to be in. So it's a 48-hour event, obviously, and because it's a local event, I mean, Global Game Jam is a global event, but it's organized in different locations, and Kosovo was one of them. So we went to this place. It was like the offices of a software company, which they allowed us to use for the game jam. And we stayed there 48 hours. Of course, we could go home to sleep, but I decided to stay there overnight. We had like sleeping bags, which wasn't particularly comfortable, but it was something. So yeah, it was really interesting to stay there overnight and talk to people. And the reason why these game jams are so fun is because we do more than just make games.
Yeah.
You know, we play music, we share stories, we draw stuff, we play games. People bring, you know, VR headsets and PS4s and things like that, and we just sort of have LAN parties and
That's fun.
play board games and stuff like that. It's really really fun. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's one of my
just
regrets
getting-
is I never got to do like an in-person game jam like that. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
my college had a hackathon once, but it was like just for an evening.
If you ever have the chance to go to a live game jam, do it. Don't even think it, bro. It's like you have to do it. It's one of the better, game development events, I would
Mhm.
say, because online, yeah, sure, it works, but it just doesn't give you the same feeling as being live,
Mm-hmm.
Getting to know people personally and talking to them and seeing their games, seeing them make their games live and presenting also your game on
Mm-hmm.
front of like 30 to 50 people, depending on the size of the game jam, is just really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And also the thing about these events is there's free food, free drinks, free beer.
Wait, what's the
Free
drinking
everything.
age there? Because you're 19.
It's 18.
Oh, okay.
Actually, this is the funny thing about the game jam. At least the first one I went to. At the time of the game jam, well, I was 16 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and the game jam was 18 and above. But because they saw my really good description, they just couldn't say no. And I was like, kind of. I don't want to say the only serious one there, but one of the people who took game dev more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of all just began from there with the whole game dev community. Now we have a Facebook group and a Discord group called Kosovar Game Developers. It's not the largest group, not the most active either. It usually only gets active during game jams, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really useful for connecting. Things like finding jobs for other people or clients, or just finding people to work with. Is really
Mhm.
useful as a connecting group. Yeah, if you ever get the chance to go to a live game jam, do it.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever that starts happening again. So, like, let's see. Are there any, like, I don't know, because I know some friends have, like, stuff in their countries where, like, the government will, like, give art grants to, like, game developers and stuff. Or are there any, like, advantages or disadvantages to making games where you are in Kosovo?
Actually, that's a really, really good question. Maybe there are more disadvantages than advantages, at least depending on who you are, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about this for a bit. So, it can be a huge advantage because it's still not the largest field in Kosovo. It's still being established by different companies, including mine. Right now, there's only like 4 companies, I think, who are doing game dev more seriously. There might be more who just hire, game developers for outside clients
Mm-hmm.
from time to time. But there's only like 3 to 4 companies who actually are trying to make products here in Kosovo. If you can take the risk as a company here in Kosovo, it can be a big advantage because essentially what you're doing is pioneering the field of game development in Kosovo,
Mm-hmm.
which actually really worked to my favor, and hence why I say it's an advantage. But it can also be a disadvantage because there's not a whole lot of jobs here for game dev. Most jobs, if there are any, are usually with Unity, Godot and Unreal, or Godot is actually unheard of. Unreal is kind of there, but not really. So Unity is like triumphing right now in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the game engines. And then you have, of course, the people who try to make proprietary game engines or, use things like Play Canvas for web games, which is actually a really good engine.
Play Canvas. I don't know that one.
Yeah, actually, it's a pretty neat game engine. It's you write stuff in JavaScript. It's a completely online, cloud-based game engine. It took me by surprise as well. Actually, it's a really neat game engine.
Damn. Whoa, yeah, this looks good. You got some good
actually.
visuals here. Is it free? Oh, pricing.
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, there's premium packages, but they're not needed most of the time.
Wow. Play.
But yeah, that's sort of like the advantages / disadvantages.
If somebody wants to become a game developer there, or like work in a studio, I guess you'd have to go to like a different country though, or like for a more reliable path.
Yeah, that's the only thing right now. Maybe not another country, but outsourcing is usually the way we do it here. Also for me, technically the most reliable way to make money with game dev in Kosovo is with outsourcing. So you have people who outsource projects from Belgium, Germany, France, Switzerland, and it also works in those countries' favors because it's way cheaper to hire developers here, which isn't the nicest thing, I guess, to say in a way, but it's not bad either actually. It works. It's in both parties' favors technically. They pay less. The client pays less, but you also earn more than other jobs here in Kosovo, which are not very high paying. Let me just tell you that the standard here is not very high. Which is, yeah, I mean, we're still sort of trying to develop as a country, and not just in game development, but in overall a lot of things. We're still lacking.
Yeah. Is there? Wait, was that formerly a communist country, or what was? What's like the history, or was it? Yeah. It's the word monarchy.
I guess you could say so. I mean, I wasn't born before, but it was part of Yugoslavia, which I guess would be a communist country if I'm not mistaken.
I've been to Czech Republic, and I know a lot of them, or I remember a lot of people there were like complaining about, or like disliked the communist history, or I don't know. They resented it because it like slowed down progress a lot in their country.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know much about like that sort of thing. No, Kosovo is a republic, so and we're a democratic country. And yeah, but let's not even get into politics, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't even know it myself.
You want to mention the dotted line border with Serbia?
Yeah.
What?
So
what does that even mean?
That is sort of. The dotted line is there for one reason and one reason only, is because Kosovo says we're an independent country and we declared our independence in 2008. Actually, we just had our Independence Day like less than a week ago, actually. But Serbia doesn't accept our independence. So there's a lot of disputes for this, and that's why there's a dotted line there on the map. Okay.
Is there?
Yeah, it's not a good thing, but yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like not a good thing. The surrounding countries, are there game development scenes here that you know about?
I think, from what I've heard, Macedonia has a pretty damn good game dev scene. As I've heard from some colleagues, I guess. They told me that there's actually quite some talented game developers there working with Unity and things like that, but I don't know much more about it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Albania either, but it should be about the same, I expect. Shouldn't differ too much, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is like the future of the game dev scene where you are?
Well, that's a good question. So the future, which is something I'm also trying to build with my own company, Prisma Games. We're trying to, well, most companies here are trying to sort of establish a good enough funding so they can make their own products. There are companies who make web games, and then they post them on web game sites like Pokey or Congregate, I guess. And they earn an okay amount, I think, from those sites. I don't know much about their finances, but I think they earn an okay amount from those. Our company, we've been sort of dealing with outsourcing projects. We've just recently had a really good projects in our hand, actually, from Belgium. We had the honor to work with one of the bus companies in Belgium to make a game for their sort of thing. Actually, you can search it up if you want.
Yeah. I want to see that.
It's called Battle Bus. You can search it online. It's for mobile.
It's giving me the Fortnite bus.
It's Battle Bus, yeah. It's probably kind of hard to search because of Fortnite, I reckon.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Hang on, I can send you the link if you want. It's kind of more of a local game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not coming up.
Yeah. Oh, actually, wait. That top strategy games on Google Play. What was that?
Oh.
Yeah, tech. Go down. I think I saw something. I mean, it's a little delayed, but.
See.
I'm just gonna send you the link.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it on here.
It's this one. Yeah, it's a very local game. It's in French and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so we had the luck to work with that sort of client, and luckily for us, it provided a good amount of funding to our company, which we're sort of looking to invest in a product actually soon. And let me tell you, it's quite risky, especially business stuff, you know.
Oh, your mic just changed.
I don't know if you can relate.
I think you just switched to a different mic. You there? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think you're back on your first
let me just
mic.
grab my laptop charger really quick. It's running low on juice.
Okay.
Be right back.
Anyone in chat have questions you want to ask? Again, we're interviewing Berat Hasani from Kosovar. Probably mispronouncing everything, but basically they're starting a there's a new or very new game development scene there, and it's kind of talking about how that's going and what it's like making games there. It's kind of all that area is very new to like game development. Godot 4 is coming out. Oh, the Alpha 3 just came out. I gotta mess with that still. It's like I don't want to deal with porting everything right now of my games. I'm just like, it's too much work. But I should, because I know it'll improve a lot of things. I should use multiply on this. don't know if the questions need to be themed. Are you hyped for Godot 4?
Alright, I'm back. What
Somebody,
did I miss?
somebody asked what tools are popular there.
What tools are popular? So, I think I said earlier. Mostly we use Unity for game making, a little bit of Play Canvas, which I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
There's some guys doing stuff with Unreal. Actually, I'm gonna talk about that in a moment because it's something very interesting. Unreal, Godot. I still haven't seen anyone use Godot here, which is actually kind of unfortunate. I think. I heard it's a pretty good game engine. Actually, you would know more about that.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know how. Let's see. Like I think it's great for 2D, but if you're doing console ports also, that's going to be an issue, and it doesn't support Apple as far as I know. You can only do Play Store.
All right.
Because I think Apple requires some proprietary stuff in that, so they can't do that.
Yeah, actually that would make sense because I mean how it works in Unity, like when you compile your game, it sort of goes through Xcode, and then you have to compile like your game through Xcode or something like that. It's kind of weird. I haven't done much of it because I don't own any iOS devices, but from what I've seen, it sort of works like that. Well, someone, Kurt Bliss Z, asked, "What's his top favorite games?" Or my top favorite games? Crap, I really don't know. So I categorize my favorite games in two ways. The games that I deem nostalgic, and the games that I would say are my favorite in more modern times. Without any categorization, though, I would say RuneScape, Zeliard, which is a really old game.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you more about it in a moment, perhaps. Minecraft, definitely. Terraria, Fallout, Doom.
Oh yeah, this looks very old, Zilliard.
Yeah, it is very. I think that's sort of what those are my favorite top 5 games, I guess, or top 6. Oh, how many did I say?
Yeah, I think it was 5. Yeah, those are. Like you seem to like much more old, like classic games, like 90s.
Yeah. So actually, the reason why I like this game, the one you're looking at right now, is because it's a childhood game. Me and my older brother and sisters, actually, we used to play this a lot. It's a very old game. As you can see, it actually was released in 1984, but dude... no, sorry, 1987. But dude, for 87, it has a lot of depth into it. Like, the level design, and platforming, and, like, the combat, and, like, the bosses are quite intricate for a game that was made in 1987. Like, it's so weird. And also, dude, the soundtrack of this game just... Oh, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, it looks nice. I like the color. I mean, it's very well colored for a 1987 game. I like how they have the border. Is there
so then in
speed run
1990, it released for DOS computers.
Did you play it on DOS, or what were you playing it on?
Yeah, so like the only actual way to play this game today is by using DOS emulators. There's a program called DOSBox. Some of you might have heard it. It emulates DOS, and then you can run games on it, and other programs. Rez Y said, I don't know if that was asked before, but what inspired me to start a game dev company? Good question. Actually, all of these are good questions. So, a lot of things inspired me to start a game company. First, I think it starts out from the fact that ever since I was, very young, I always wanted to create things. Um, you know, different scenarios, stories, things like this. You know, I tended to be on more on the creative side for things, and games sort of were my outlet when it came to that sort of thing. I always played games, was introduced to games when I was very, very young, maybe like 4 years old. Um, and I was always into computers and always played games, so it just sort of seemed logical. Hey, I play a lot of computer games, know a lot about them.
Mm-hmm.
What if I just make games for a living? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Which worked in my favor. I was here at the right place at the right time to start making games in Kosovo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the idea of creating things was what sort of inspired me to start a game dev company.
And you've like legally started is like an LLC or something, or is it like?
Yeah, it's an LLC.
Okay. Damn. And
Actually, funny story. Because I sort of tell this to people. The moment I turned 18, on my birthday, I immediately went and applied to open the company up. Like, I just couldn't wait anymore. Because I had plans for it for a while. Like, our group, our team sort of existed before that. But then I was like, okay, now's the time. I'm just gonna go do it. I hope I answered that. Is there anything else you guys would like to know, or?
I still need to start an
to
LLC. I've just been doing sole proprietor for so long. I feel like
LLCs are interesting. I think the reason why I really wanted to make it official was so people took it seriously. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And also saying that you have a company just works so much better, especially when working with clients. Like, this is a pro tip for you guys. No, this actually works super well. When you have clients, if you tell them that you have a company, especially if it's a legal one and stuff like that, they're usually willing to pay more than if you were just a freelancer. Because, like, the title of having, you know, a company just seems bigger, even if it isn't per se, you know? So that was one of the reasons, which I actually learned after I started the company, just that people took things more seriously. Second is maybe having a little bit more control of my assets and sort of have an official way of funding this sort of thing. If that makes any sense. And also for potential grants by the government in the future. I think they offer grants in the tech field for smaller businesses, if I'm not mistaken. There's a whole slew of reasons why I think just having a company works better. But also, and this may be the biggest reason why I wanted to open a company, is I wanted to start hiring people with the money I earned from clients. So I've already had the luck to hire a developer to work on some things with me. It was for a client project, but it was really fun nonetheless. And just telling someone that, hey, you know, this is a legal job with contracts and pension and everything like that, it just is way safer for the people to also come work at, you know. If you just tell someone, hey, you know, come to work at my place, I'll offer you this much money, but there's no contracts or pension, it sounds kind of sketchy, you know. It doesn't sound the best. Kurt said, I have a review for Zeliard on my watch it later list. That game looks neat. It definitely is. It's hard as balls, though, I'm going to tell you right now. It's a really hard game.
Yeah, all those old school games are like always super hard.
Yes, exactly. And then he also said, do you ever make or want to make any programs of video game specifically for anyone? Huh? So you mean like engines or proprietary engines?
I think
or?
they're asking, you make a game for someone? programs of video. Never mind. I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna take that as a proprietary game engine. No, I don't have plans for that. Unity is too comfortable, I guess, to start making a bigger program. And also there's a really good saying. You might have heard it. It goes something like, "Make games, not tech."
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty popular in game dev as a quote. I don't know who said it, but it resonates a lot with me. So yeah, that's sort of what I live by. Make games, not tech. You know, whatever game engine you use, just make a game. You know.
Yeah. You have employees, by the way, right? You said.
Right now I don't. But I'm looking to hire soon.
How do you get the funding for hiring employees? Is it just out of pocket?
Well, as I said earlier, actually, it's from working with clients outside our country, which usually pay well enough.
Do they pay in advance?
It's still a risk.
And then you hire the employees, or are you paying out of pocket to the employees though?
Can you define that? I mean,
so let's say a client hires you to make, an out-of-country client hires you to make something, and it's like, okay, I need to hire an artist for this. Do you go and you find an artist and then you pay them with money from your savings, or does the client pay you like a few $1,000s in advance and then you use that money to hire the artist?
It depends. I mean, which client you're working with, but I think it's usually pretty standard that whenever you start working with serious clients like other companies that are trying to outsource their products, they usually pay you a percentage of the full cost in advance, because then it also builds a sort of trust between the two parties. Because obviously if you send them a receipt and then you don't deliver, that's obviously fraud, and you can get in trouble for that. And if you tell them, hey, and if they don't pay you in the beginning, then there also might be less motivation for the company itself to make stuff. I don't know. It's just safer both ways. You receive the money in advance, so then you also you have to deliver, or else you're screwed.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense.
And how do you determine how much to charge for like a client job?
Damn, that's such a good question. I don't even know how to answer it. It really depends on the project, the timeline, and what they're asking for. So, for example, if the client is supplying things like art or assets in general, then it's obviously going to be a bit cheaper, because all we have to do is implement those things in the game engine and also write the code for it, and make things come together essentially. If we have to do art and assets also, it usually costs way more, because then you'd have to find the people to do that sort of thing, like the artists that you mentioned earlier. It also depends on the platform that you want to release for. So if it's a mobile game, it can be something a little simpler most of the time. Then you have, how do they want to publish the game? So, for example, if they want our help to publish for them, then that might come at an extra cost. But if they're gonna publish the thing themselves, then, that's their own problem. So it just comes down to so many things, but like 80% of the cost usually just is in the complexity of the project, the timeline, and also the people required to make the project, I would say. If there's a lot of content to the game and there's a certain deadline that needs to be met, then you need to hire people, hence the cost is going to be higher,
Yeah.
But I can sort of give an average or like an estimate though. So for smaller games, say that could be finished in a month to 2 months, payments can be anywhere in the range of 500 euros up to 3,000. Depending on the complexity, and people are going to be working full-time, part-time, or if there's even need to hire employees. If it's a larger project that's going to take over a year, their prices can go up upwards of 25,000 euros. It really depends on the client and the game. Or actually, so I wanted to answer some of the questions here. As asked, are you using Godot? If so, what are you most excited about regarding 4.0? Oh, I think he asked you that. Work with Godot?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I haven't followed.
I don't use Godot. I am using Unity.
Let's see, Nick. Oh yeah, how do you get people to play for your game, or play test your game? Because they ran out of friends.
Okay. Well, this is going to have a very, very long answer. How to get people to play a game? Well, if you don't have friends... So wait, do you mean like to test your game? Or just to play your game when you release it? If you could clarify that would be pretty helpful. I can give you a better answer. Okay, to play a finished game. Yeah, that's sort of what I expected. Marketing stuff. There's a lot of answers that go into this. It also starts to depend on what platform you're releasing for. I've released my own games to Steam. I actually released a horror game on Halloween on the year 2020, and it was a free game, so it blew up. Luckily for us.
What was it called?
Let me see what I can. Actually, it's called Siren Head Awakening. I know, it's a Siren Head game. But we knew it would get popular, so we made it, and it did get popular. So to get to people to play your game, so say if it's a Steam game, you'd need a pretty good page. Okay, so in your case it's a web.js game, which should make it easier, but doesn't. I agree with you. It's easier to access it, but people usually don't take web games, at least from what I've noticed. People don't really take web games as seriously, maybe, but they are more accessible. I'm not very good with marketing, I'm just gonna say that. Especially, this won't help, especially since most of my games I released to Steam. And I guess it works differently, like how you market your games there. I guess for web, you just want to share it in social media as much as possible, and try to sort of just to follow trends in a way, maybe with hashtags, things like that. Reddit is also a really good way if it's an interesting game. If you put like a really interesting GIF of your game on Reddit, it can blow up, and then people in the comments might ask you, the link for the game. I have done this before for one of my games on Reddit, and we've had a lot of comments. And if you're willing to go the extra mile in Reddit, I don't know how this works, but getting people to award you things like platinum awards or paid rewards on Reddit usually signals to people like, hey, this is a pretty interesting post and someone gave a award to it, I guess. I don't know, that's sort of what I've done so far. So let me ask you, do you have a Discord server where you can advertise your game, or a fan base, or anything like that, or?
The person in the chat.
Yeah, the person in chat. Sorry.
Have you tried Reddit and Twitter? Oh, I see they're talking about it. So you can properly distribute it. I mean, marketing is a whole thing. I mean, you see what I do is I do 20 things. Or I guess YouTube and TikTok are mainly what I've done.
Yeah, those are actually pretty good ways. I'm just gonna go out and say it. I'm not very good with marketing. I usually go to other people for marketing in a way. But the only things I do know about marketing are usually for Steam. Things, especially in the free game category, that works pretty well. Yeah. Okay. Generally, yeah. So Reddit, Twitter. If you have a good GIF of your game, that usually works pretty well. If you can get people to retweet your thing, maybe someone that has more followers, that works pretty well. If you have, social media like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, things like that, you can also share interesting videos of your game there, or like devlog kind of thing, I guess. So as you develop your game, you can put like screenshots or animations of your game and GIFs and videos. And you can also attach things like hashtags. That usually does pretty well. Most of your posts will get recognized by the algorithm with hashtags. So for example, when I was marketing my horror game, I used things like horror category, horror game, horror movie, scary, Halloween, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That got some attention of some people. On Steam, if you have a game, especially free games, then when you say put a paid game, you can broadcast that to your player base. So say you have a free game that has 50k downloads, for example. If you make an announcement on Steam saying like, hey, I released this other game, you might get a lot of traction from your previous players.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've done it before and how I will plan to do it, in my upcoming games. Actually, wait, Miz, I wanted to ask you, you have a couple games on Steam, right? Like,
Yeah.
that game with the spaceship and
Mm-hmm.
the Rod Flash now. Have you actually done this strategy before? Like telling people from your previous games to play your new ones?
No, I haven't. But I mean, none of my games are really that popular except for Rot Flash. So it just, I don't know, never seemed worth it to me.
Well, I mean, I think, sure. I kind of disagree with that because I think any marketing is valuable. I think.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like just anyone who knows those games already knows who I am, kind of,
Yeah,
and they're already going to know about
I
it.
think you also got a big boost from your YouTube channel. I think that's where most of your traffic comes from.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's where I saw Rod Flash to begin with.
Yeah.
Not from personal experience, but more from what I've heard at GDC Talk. Hit up game news websites to cover your per game. That could work, but I think it depends on the games. I think a lot of game news websites get a lot of messages for things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's worth trying. I'm not saying because, it's better trying than not, but I think it heavily depends on the game. If it is truly a really interesting and good game, then yeah, it will get featured. If not, then you're out of luck there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think your game is doomed. I think you can also join different communities on Discord made for Gamedev, and you could see on promoting your game there. Might get you some players. Yeah, you can also hit up smaller YouTubers, sub 100k. and
I remember I
you can
tried
send them
that
a business email.
years ago, and maybe I reached out to like 50 people, and maybe like one of them played it, and it was like,
Yeah, it's a long shot, but it's still a shot, you know. There was that one quote. I don't remember who said it. You miss one or no. What was the quote? Hang on.
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, exactly that one. Who said that actually? I
don't know.
I think it was someone from basketball.
Probably. That would make sense. Some kind of... Of course, if you make too many shots and you miss all of them, then you get really depressed and lose motivation.
Yeah.
So, the challenge is, how do you balance?
I'm getting a lot of posts from The Office TV show on this.
On which?
On this quote.
Oh.
Apparently the guy who said it is called Wayne Gretzky. Cool. Yeah, Wayne Gretzky.
That's funny. I never thought about the source of that quote. All right, let's see. How long are we going for? An hour and a half, about. Let's see.
If it's a horror game with a lot of luck, you get Markiplier to play it, but I think most people will also try to play games that they
15.
think would gain the attention. Yeah. I got kind of lucky for my own horror game. A lot of YouTubers did play it, but not the big ones like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or, to the Lord forgive, you know, PewDiePie. If you get your games to be played by those, then you've hit the mother load.
Let's see. We've been going about an hour and 15 minutes. How are you doing so far? Are you like... I don't have any more questions that I can think of right now. Do you have like other stuff you want to talk about? And does anybody in chat have anything they want to ask?
Yeah, I think most of our questions are coming from chat.
Yeah. You can message game devs that got successful and ask them about their experience. The thing is that a lot of game developers got successful in a time that was like different from now. So like what worked for them probably won't work for you is something you have to worry about.
I think it's just really on a game-to-game basis. What you can do is optimize your chances of your game being a success, but you can't ensure that it's going to be a success. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So the optimizations, as I said, you know, we've been talking about this for the past half hour or something, but things like hitting up YouTubers, trying to put your stuff on Reddit, Twitter, TikTok. Actually, TikTok is really good right now.
Yeah,
I heard. I don't use it personally because I despise the platform, but
it's just like free sales.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I'd recommend trying it out.
Pretty much. If you already have made games before, then as I said, you know, Steam and stuff like that, or yeah. If you're a content creator like Miz in this case, then you know, obviously you market your game through devlogs. But there's another thing which a lot of people don't talk about, and it's just content creation in general. The more content you make, whatever content it is, writing articles, making posts, the more posts you make, the more chances you have at one of those posts getting famous or popular, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, it's like you just gotta keep trying, at least in the beginning, until you sort of have a fan base, I think.
That's you. Wait, you made a Siren Head game. How does like the creator of the Siren Head like feel about? I don't know. Does he know about it? Because I I know he's posted stuff
actually,
about
there's oh god, yeah, this is actually a pretty interesting story. So we did hit up Trevor Henderson on email, and we got real lucky because he did respond to us saying that yes, we can make the game.
that. Oh, cool.
But then something funny happened. So we sort of put our game on Steam, right? And it went live, and it went really well and everything. But we hadn't noticed, and this was such a big mistake on our part. We mistyped his name. I think it was like a one character mispronunciation, but someone got a hold of it, right? And he just started to ask us and was even investigating, like, hey, do you have like your permission from Trevor to make this game? And they were like doubting us. We were like, yeah, we do have thing. We just can't show it to you because like the emails are obviously confidential. Like we wouldn't show like private emails. And then he wouldn't trust us, and yeah. But ultimately, everything went fine. We obviously fixed the typo on the Steam page. And yeah, so we did get the license or the permission from Trevor to make the game, and we did. Siren Head is not a community creation. Siren Head was made in like 2018 by a Canadian artist called Trevor Henderson. And
yeah, a lot
got
of
a lot
people
of traction, and
yeah, a lot of people think that it's a community creation, but it isn't. It's like
actually we specifically mentioned this in our game. Like we have loading screen tips. A lot of people think that the thing is an SCP.
Oh yeah.
I'm not really familiar with the SCP community at all, to be honest, but a lot of people tend to think that he's an SCP, and we put a loading screen tip saying, don't forget that Sirenet is not an SCP and that it was made by Trevor Henderson.
That's kind of cool that he's being able to like retain kind of like people know who he is and get defensive like about if you step on his copyright or like his property, his IP. Whereas like I feel like a lot of internet stuff people just don't care.
Things got a little bit ugly at one point with some of the community creations about Siren Head. There was some people making, videos on it, and they were making like lore about Siren Head, and it wasn't official lore or anything. I don't know the exact details, but what I do remember is that their videos, which were insanely popular, got striked down by Trevor himself, which sparked a lot of drama in the community, and then it sort of spiraled from there. The creators just didn't want people to be misinformed about it, but he didn't want to be overwhelmed by the community either. So yeah, then that's why he didn't reply to commissions and messages and things like that for a part of his career, I think. I don't remember exactly, so I might be talking out of my ass, I guess, on a lot of these, but that's from what I remember, because this was like 2 years ago. But yeah, our game did blow up, luckily. Right now we have around 300,000 downloads, players. I don't know what the metric was exactly.
What's it called?
A lot of...
The title of the game?
The game?
Yeah.
Siren Head Awakening. You can search it up if you want.
There we are.
Don't want to promote it, of course, but since we're talking about it, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it got a lot of traction.
Reviews.
And it really... That's, I think, the turning point for our company as well.
These
that
reviews.
was the turning point for our company.
What's this top
what did you
review
say? Sorry, I
here?
didn't hear.
Oh, the top review here. What's...
Okay, the stream is a little delayed, so... yeah.
What? What are these reviews?
Yeah, these reviews are weird, man. I'm telling you. It had mixed reviews. Right now, I think it's mostly positive.
Recent are very positive, yeah.
Yeah. There was a period of time for like 6 or 8 months or something where it was just completely mixed reviews, but it was right on the edge of mostly positive.
Mm-hmm.
So the threshold is 70%. If you have 70%, the reviews are gonna say mostly positive, and we were just on the verge of 68, 69%.
Damn. My mouse is about to die. Why was it so mixed?
Probably at the end of the video.
Oh, what'd you say?
There's gonna be a jump scare at the end of the video.
Oh. I was looking for my mouse charger. So I mostly was. Oh, also I had it muted.
Yeah. So actually, about our horror game, we can sort of proudly say that it's technically the most popular game made by a Kosovo team.
Mm-hmm.
On the foreign market at least, which is pretty interesting title to have, I guess.
How many people worked on this?
4 or 5. Yeah, 5 people worked on this. We had a writer, a copywriter, I guess, who made sure for a lot of the text in the game and stuff they were okay and the story was alright. We had a 3D modeler. Obviously, you had me, who was the main developer on the project. Then we also had a couple testers and managers, sort of thing like that, and also sound designers. So yeah, about 4 or 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the beta testers, because we had a private beta where we invited people to play the game, and that was super fun, to be honest. I remember that.
That's cool. Yeah. How did you how did you like manage the team and stuff? Was somebody like designated to be in charge?
So, I mean, it was a pretty small team, so it wasn't too hard. The hardest part, I guess, was just sort of trying to actually get people to, work on it. It was a free game, and at the time we didn't have any funding at all, so this game was made on like sub 400 euro budget, which includes everything for equipment and audio and things like that. So it was quite an effort as well. It took us 7 months or 8 to make the game. And it was like a slow process, sort of, with the modeling and soundtrack and stuff like that. You can't force people to work on a game if you're not paying them, especially if you didn't hire them legal or anything like that. So, yeah, it was sort of more of a passion project in a way. Like, we didn't want to rush anything. It was a slow, incremental progress of making the game for 6, 7, 8 months. Of course, counting the updates also.
Someone asked.
There is some.
Someone asked if you've gone to like GDC or any conventions.
Ooh, no, I would love to though. Actually, this is where now we can talk a bit about more of Kosovo game development scene, because this is where things get really interesting. Actually, I'm surprised we haven't talked about this before. So as I said, Kosovo isn't a big country, and we're still um, not known by most countries, um, and there's only a few select countries where we can travel. Um, so we have, the surrounding countries, and then other countries like Turkey, where we can travel to with our passports. And to get a visa, like the Schengen visa to go in Europe, or the American visa, it's incredibly hard to do so, because most people who try to get such visas are usually trying to just get out of the country to live. But their reasoning is like, oh, I'm going to be there for like a week or two, but then they end up staying there longer. And these people make it very hard for other normal people who aren't trying to do that sort of thing, get visas. So yeah, for us it's very, very hard to go abroad, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. So to go to a GDC would be kind of a dream, sort of thing. I would love to attend any conference abroad, in terms of game development. And also because a lot of countries don't know us when you also get into the business side of things. Especially if you try, say, to have a Kickstarter or like the Steam page, it's a bit quirky to set it up, basically. So it's kind of hard to set it up for different things. There's actually I wanted to talk about two projects that are being made in Kosovo here, that are more notable, I guess. So I mentioned earlier something about Unreal. I have a friend of mine, a colleague perhaps, you could call, who works with Unreal and Unreal only. He's been at it for quite a few years, and right now he's trying to get funding for one of his projects. It's called VR Drive, and his idea is actually genius. It's not game development per se, but it is being made with Unreal, so yeah. So his plan is sort of to get how do you call this in English? I don't know. So car licensing companies, no, but like where you get your driver's license.
Oh, the DMV.
What do you call those in English? I guess you could call it the DMV. Yeah. So he's trying to get these different DMVs to fund his project, I guess, or for them to be his clients. So what the project is instead of taking expensive driving lessons with a real car, you'd be put in a safe environment with VR, and like you'd have like the steering wheel and everything, and that's where you sort of have online lessons for driving. It's a really interesting project, actually. I would say one of the better ones here in Kosovo right now in terms of game development and Unreal and Unity and stuff like that. Their reasoning behind the project is it's better than using a triple monitor setup, which is what usually these instructor companies do, where you get your license. Of course, I mean, they also have like driving lessons, but they are very expensive, and you need a real car and stuff like that. And also then you have things like petrol, which isn't good for the environment. So they're trying to sort of reduce emissions with this by having virtual reality driving lessons. Yeah, exactly. It would have to be a super accurate simulator, but that's sort of why they need funding. And actually, what they've managed to do so far is have like the Pristina's map, which is the capital of Kosovo. They've been able to 3D model most of Pristina in 3D and put it in Unreal engine. So.
How did they 3D model it? Was it like scans or just hand done?
Actually, I think it's mostly been hand done. They might have gotten assistance from things like Google Maps with like 3D in some areas, I perhaps, but mostly it's been hand built, like the entire map.
Yeah.
They specifically chose areas that you'd normally drive in during driving lessons, by the way, which is I think really smart. So this would include like most of the urban areas in Pristina. They're making really good efforts, but they're having quite a lot of trouble finding funding. And this is sort of what I wanted to get into, is finding grants and funding in Kosovo is a bit hard, especially for game dev, because it's such a new field. People don't trust it yet, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the other project is a FPS game. It's called War of Kosovo 2033. It's like this futuristic sort of FPS game being made by a small team here in Kosovo from Prizren, which is another city here in Kosovo. They're hella ambitious, actually, not gonna lie, with a project. They're also making it in Unreal because they have access to things like Quixel Megascans. And
whoa, this looks... Is this it?
Similarly... Huh?
This, what I'm looking at, is this it?
Wait, because your stream is delayed, obviously, so...
How much of a delay is there?
I still don't see it. Oh, now you're switching. Oh.
Wow, that's pretty bad. Let's see, does it say what the delay is? No.
Okay, yeah, the one you're... Yeah, the one I see it, the one. Yeah, that's the one they're making. This is sort of like one of the downsides about game making in Kosovo is people don't really know how to market their games, including these guys. So their Steam page is kind of lacking, not gonna lie. But yeah, they're still sort of working on the sort of the gameplay and making sure it's feels good and everything.
Are all the
and similarly,
graphic assets, like, are they making any of them, or are they all coming from Unreal Marketplace?
Well, I mean, I've talked to them because I actually sort of helped them put their game on Steam as well. We sort of have a tiny bit of cooperation going on. They're trying to make most of the assets themselves, and actually similarly to the other project, VR Drive, they are also trying to simulate real-world places. Instead of Pristina, though, they're trying to remake the city of Prizren as playable maps in their game, which I think is a really interesting idea. I really can't wait to see where it goes, actually, because it looks really ambitious. Recently, they've been on a lot of Albanian news outlets and TV channels and stuff like that, and that's really good. But they've gone a bit backwards on their marketing, because they didn't really ask people to wishlist their game, which is the main metric they should be going for a pre-release game on Steam.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're sort of trying to do something about it.
That looks good. Damn, this is like almost AAA level kind of visuals.
Yeah, they've been at it for like 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Do they have any
used
gameplay
to have
footage?
a trailer for the game, but they removed it because it was really, really like bad.
Yeah.
It just showed them like walking around the map with some guns, and the lighting was, really bad. But that was like super early gameplay of it. They've made quite a lot of advancements though since then. Yeah. So yeah, I really want to see where these guys go with this project, because making an online FPS game, multiplayer, all things like that, is one, hard.
Yeah.
To make. Second, it's really, really hard to market such a game, especially so big, because there's always sort of better alternatives when you think about it, right? Like, this is like the age-old question about game making is, why should anyone play my game when there's this other game, you know?
Yeah.
So, I hope they have good reasons for why people should play their game. I think they have pretty good reasons, though. um, especially considering they've taken the attention of a lot of people here in Kosovo. And third, even if they do make the game, I hope they have enough players to fill their servers, because that's the bad thing about online games is if there's not a lot of people on the servers, then
You could
it's
add
gonna be a
bots.
bit lackluster.
You could add bots
Yeah.
and just pretend they're players.
I guess I don't know how they're going about this, to be honest, but I hope they don't mess it up, because it looks like a really interesting project. And yeah.
Somebody posted something. I don't know what language that is. Hello, comrade. Is it possible to implement the mechanics of a biome where everything affects each other? That is resources for flora. Yeah. It's just a simulation, though. Oh, is this?
Yeah, that's pretty much a simulation.
I was wondering if that question was towards you. Russian. Oh, it's Russian. Why would you ask that in Russian?
Привет, comrade.
Do you speak Russian?
No.
No.
But I wish I did. I don't know why I like Russian.
Oh, what languages are there? What's like the national language and
Oh,
stuff?
what do we speak here?
Yeah.
We speak Albanian.
Albania. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you release games, do you port them in like both languages, or?
I haven't done that before, but I am looking forward to translating my games to Albanian when I make them.
Mm-hmm.
So far, they've been, games that wouldn't interest the Albanian market anyway, so there would be no need for it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you excuse me for a moment?
Yeah. Yeah. So, if anyone's just joining, this is like the beginning of a new series where I'm just interviewing game developers while I work on my game. It's just kind of like casual, chill interviews. And right now I'm just been working on the next update for Rot Flesh. This one will take a while probably, but yeah, that's the right spot. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of new content and stuff coming out for it in this update. Been working on it for, I guess, almost 2 months now, kind of on and off, while I'm doing like bug fixes and other stuff. So right now I've been working on the rework for the Oasis area because a lot of the textures were pretty bad in it. Like, it was just hard to see enemies and like distinguish things. It was not very well designed visually, and so I'm kind of going through and fixing that now. And I got to make sure that the environment assets are like interesting and work together. I mean, as you can see, so these are a placeholder. I'm going to get rid of these hills, and I need to change the cliff texture to something else. I'm going to make it a darker rock color, I think. But you can see I've reworked the trees. They're a lot more interesting. And also the oh, thank you, Kurt. Enjoying the interview and seeing you model as you work on your own project. Cool. Yeah, that's the idea of this, I guess, kind of. So it's not just ASMR.
I'm back.
Hey, welcome back. All right. What were you talking about? Language,
yeah,
importing.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I guess I look forward to importing my games into Albanian when I make them. But yeah, so I was saying, the games I've sort of made before, they weren't worthy of translation to Albanian, especially knowing that the target demographic for my games wasn't Kosovo or Albania, which is a tad ironic, perhaps, but yeah. But next games, you never know. we will see.
Yeah, I need to make my games easier to translate because I think that's like such an easy way to get more sales.
Actually, yeah, I've been thinking about this for my next project, and mostly I want to translate them to, most bigger languages like German, Russian, Spanish, French, thing like that. Um, Actually, I had something in mind that I wanted to say. Um, are there any other like questions or things I would like to know about Kosovo or game development in here? Or,
I can't
or
think of
maybe
anything
perhaps
right
from
now.
someone from the chat.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 40, so I think that's a good time to stop now. But
Yeah, I have like a couple more minutes to spare.
what
It's
time
also
is it
getting
there now?
late in here. Well, actually, currently I'm 2 time zones away from my country. So right now for me it's 12:30 a.m. p.m. Yeah, a.m.
Any other questions, anyone? 12:30, damn. Wait, where is that? 2 time zones away.
Right now I'm in Turkey actually, visiting here.
Okay.
So yes, 2 time zones away. Interesting thing about Turkey right now, if I'm not mistaken, is they just don't do daylight time saving. Like they don't switch their clocks by an hour.
I thought that was only
At
the
all?
US that did that.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't. Oh, actually, no, Europe also does it. I
Oh, really?
think Europe also doesn't want to do it anymore, or something like that. I don't remember.
I mean, I don't think anyone wants to do it anymore. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah, but dude, actually, the funny thing is when I came here, so my plane was like very early morning, but by the time I arrived here, especially due to the 2 hour gap, it was like 8 a.m. or so, and the sun was still barely rising at 8 a.m. Like, damn, I'm not used to that sort of thing in my own country, so
I don't know,
it was certainly interesting.
I never get up till noon, so it's
What?
let's see. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for coming on then. Everyone be sure to check out Berat's Twitter.
Yep.
Follow him, and I don't know, do you have anywhere else to, like, anything you want to promote or share or anything like that?
Well, is a Discord server alright, or...
Yeah, you can do a Discord
would that
server.
be a little too much?
You can share a Discord. I don't know if it's going to auto-hide links, so just message it to me and I can post it in chat.
Yeah, let me do that. Actually, for those who are interested, our Discord is verified, since, we're a legal entity and all that sort of thing. So that's a pretty cool thing, I guess, to brag about.
Well, how do you get verified? I don't know why that didn't work.
But there's an application form that you have to fill out on Discord's pages. I don't remember where it was. So there's 2 types of verification. There's partnership, which is actually the most sought after, and then there's just the verified one, which used to be way better, but it got nerfed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Verified servers used to have the banner at the title of the Discord server, but then they removed it, and now only level 2 servers have it, and also partnered servers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, though, so whoever joins our Discord, I'm quite active there. We talk about a lot of different subjects, from guitar band playing to game development, and also our own games. But our sort of thing is also we try to empower other game developers. I mean, we're not the biggest game developers ourselves, but we sort of try to have a small community, tight-knit perhaps, of developers there. Overall, very supportive of many aspects of software development in general.
Nice. Yeah. I guess that's everything then. Everything's linked there. Do you have games released to wishlist? You want people to wishlist? Anything?
Not right now. I don't have any upcoming games. But if anyone would like to play some of our games, they're all on Steam. Do you also want me to send you the link for that, or?
Sure. Yeah. Send the Steam link.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just grab it here. So all of our games right now are free to play, which is good news.
Mm-hmm.
Let me send it.
Oh, how are you planning to monetize your game
Oh,
if they're all free
wait.
to play?
That's the wrong link. Whoops. Yeah, sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you have like any plans to monetize your games, considering they're all free to play?
Actually, yes. So right now we're just sort of planning it sort of abstractly, but we have some plans and we're still thinking. Obviously, so our company right now has a bit of funding, and we're sort of looking where we want to invest, what game we want to make up next.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of games that we're thinking of making. So we're sort of thinking either we should make like some sort of safer, less risky mobile game, which we could add. It could be a freemium game, and if anything, we could also release that same game to Steam for a set amount of price. But I personally am not a huge fan of freemium games. I don't like microtransactions to begin with, so I think the next game we make is probably going to be a standalone Steam game, monetized $10-$20 depending on the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, nothing comes up with that link on Steam, which shows no results returned.
Which one?
The dev link you sent, or your Steam link.
Huh. Oh, that's strange. Hang on. Steam is weird sometimes. Does this work? No, that's Steam. Wow. Hang on. Let me just do this through web because I'm doing this through the Steam launcher.
Oh yeah. Easier through web.
Yeah, so copying links there is kind of iffy. I don't know if that's the same link I just sent, but can you test that one? Oh, I think it's because of
Yeah, it doesn't work.
for some reason it doesn't recognize the dot at the end.
Oh, okay.
So it needs another dot at the end. I don't know why Discord just doesn't want that in the link there.
Thinks it's a sentence. Alright, there we go, that works. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, that's the link. Cool. Thanks for coming on. It was fun talking.
Yep. It
Have a
was
good...
also a pleasure being on the stream. Never been interviewed before on a stream like this, so it was certainly an experience.
Yeah, I think it's a good episode one, kind of learning everything, but it like worked well.
Yeah.
It was fun to talk.
Also, generally, just being able to talk to you like up front was a interesting experience because you don't usually get to talk to YouTubers that much.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know actually how you think of yourself in that sort of category. Like,
I don't know. I'm just making games. Like, I don't think of like I'm famous or something. I just think of like, I don't know. I'm just...
alright. Yeah,
It's just a number to me.
Actually, that's a really interesting question. I don't know how I would think of that myself. But anyway, I'm not gonna take up more of your time.
All right. Yeah, I
have
need to go eat.
Alright, well,
All right.
enjoy your lunch.
Yeah, basically.
Alright. Again, thanks, and I'll see you later, perhaps, if you ever want me again on one of your
Yeah,
streams.
if something new and interesting happens there, let me know.
Alright. Well,
All right.
bye-bye.
See ya.